Morning and welcome to another video from us here at Parkitt Racing and Parkitt Dyno and Suspension. Today's video is regarding the Suzuki GSXR 1000. We have a K5 here that the gentleman brought to us. We're a main Oulins's dealer, so he brought us here to have his fork serviced and his shock serviced by our gentleman Neil Parkhouse, who looks after our Oulins's here in the workshop. But he also came in for a dyno run as well, just to see what the bike was doing. And here's where the story starts, and it all evolves around this, the humble clutch switch. So this bike originally had a Power Commander 5 fitted, and when it came to the shop we found that it was awfully rich. So we discussed a remap with the customer, and in the end he opted to go with one of our tunes via the ECU, for which we use Woolich Racing as our means of access. During that mapping session, right at the start, we get live data, and I noticed that the clutch was defaulted in. Something I hadn't noticed before, if I'm totally honest, because naturally I just come along, clutch, start bike, done. Now, I hadn't pulled a run at this stage in terms of on the Woolich, but I had on the Power Commander. On the Power Commander, the bike was making average power, but because it was very rich, presumed that the power was lower because of the fuel that was in there, when in actual fact it turned out nothing to do with that at all. It's because of this. Now, on the GSXRs, they have two maps, a 0 map and a 1 map inside the ECU. They also have gear maps and a neutral map. So each MS0 and MS1 map is ever so slightly different in neutral or clutch in, and also with regards to the secondary throttle plates. Therefore, if people like the idea of taking their clutch switch out, it completely ruins the bike. Essentially, you've put a retarded ignition map in and also a completely different secondary throttle map in that doesn't give the bike very good low down or mid-range power. So there you go, folks. If you own a GSXR, have a look under the clutch switch, see if you've got one of these on. If you haven't, the likelihood is your bike's going to suffer. Now, we've seen up to 15 horsepower losses. On this bike, it was approximately 5 horsepower and a loss of 500 RPM, because there's the other point as well. Neutral and clutch in have a completely different RPM limit. Sometimes it's 500 RPM. On some of the smaller capacity GSXRs, like the 600 and 750, it's up to 1500 RPM in reduction. So for the cost of what is a £25 clutch switch, could mean the difference between your bike making a shed load of power or not. So there you have it, guys. Any questions, post them in the comments section, and as usual, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.